bond pre-qualification. Yeah, Miss Bond Lady, I heard you say that I have to qualify and the project has to qualify. You said it's like applying for a bank loan. Okay, yeah, that's what I said. So what is the basic rule for how to qualify? I am so glad you guys asked that question. Bond pre-qualification. Decisions to bond contractors are based on favorable assessments of a contractor's character, capacity, and capital. Character, capacity, and capital. We call those the 3 C's of surety. Now, I have this fabulous table with all of these items giving you examples of what an underwriter is looking for and considering in each of the 3 C's. I'm not going to go through the entire table, but I am going to take a few items out of each list. If you look at character, the very first one is, what is your business's reputation in the construction industry? What would job owners say about you if the bonding company called and asked for a reference? What would trade contractors say about you? If you're a general contractor, what would subcontractors say about you? What would architects and designers that you work with say about you? If they were to Google you, what's there to see? Character also deals with credit, your personal credit profiles of the owners, all owners of at least 10% or more, and what does your business credit file say about you? Capacity. Capacity is, tell us about what type of work you've done before. What's your scope? What size contracts have you successfully completed? How long ago? How recent? Where? Where did you do that work? We're going to be talking about what type of equipment you have. And depending on what your scope is, heavy highway, excavating underground utilities, equipment's going to be a big deal. Or at least access to equipment is going to be a big deal. Okay? And some of the other scopes, equipment, not so much so. So if you think about it, the underwriter's like, okay, what do they have already that can help them actually execute the work? They're going to be looking at personnel. And these days, labor is getting to be a big issue. Okay? It's something that everyone's concerned. How are your relationships with your labor? How is everybody doing right now in the current environment? Do you have ways to keep people safe? The capacity in that area, do you have who you need to actually deliver on time, on budget, safely? And then capital, now you know what capital is. If you guys weren't on mute, I would be expecting everybody to be sending me a note or telling me, yeah, it's about money. It is about money. It's about working capital. Do you have the money you need to finance a project from NTP to first draw? Can you finance that project plus everything else that you have in your backlog? Working capital and net worth are both balance sheet items. For those of you that are like finances and numbers, you're like, balance sheet, that's an interesting deal. Yeah, that is a very interesting feature that goes with the surety bonding process. If you compare it to, say, banking likes profit and loss better, right? They want to know that you have revenue coming in, that you're paying all your bills, and that you still are having some left over. Bonding companies are like, we expect you to have revenue coming in because we're supporting you in that regard. But once you have that profit, once you have profitability, what are you doing with the profit, right? Profits on profit and loss, flow into the balance sheet, increasing your net worth. Working capital and net worth have established ratios for how to have bonding capacity. If you have any questions, now's a great time to take a break. So I'm going to let Ms. Lorena check the chat and see if I can answer any questions. Ms. Lorena?
Yes, Tracy, we do have a question. Here it is. So we are often asked, what is the maximum bond amount we qualify for? How do we know this without going through formal bond request process and don't have a job awarded yet?
Oh my goodness. This person is going all in. I love this question. Thank you, Ms. Lorena. Okay, so there are a couple things that you can do to self-assess. That's what I call this process. The first thing I'm going to give you is working capital to bonding capacity. The formula for working capital is current assets off your balance sheet minus current liabilities off your balance sheet equals some number X. So for this conversation, if you have $100,000 in current assets and you have $50,000 in current liabilities, you have $50,000 left for working capital. If there are no adjustments to that working capital, the general rule is $1 of working capital can support $10 of bonding. 50,000 times 10 is 500,000. Now that's the general rule that works like all over my industry. Depending on your particular scope and your bonding company, it can be more or less. For example, the further down you are in a project, right, then the more working capital you need. So instead of 1 to 10, it may be some number like 1 to 8 or 1 to 5. If you are the general contractor and you have bonded subcontractors, it could be 1 to 15 or 1 to 20. Another tool that you can use is adjusted net worth. $1 of adjusted net worth. That's profits left in the company over time. $1 of net worth supports $10 of bonding. Net worth comes straight off your balance sheet. There's no calculation for it. There are some adjustments, right? So if your net worth includes loans to employees or loans to stockholders, those kinds of things come out because they're not true net worth. Goodwill kind of sits on the side as well, but what's left after adjustments is your net worth. And then the only other thing I'm going to add, and then I'm going to keep going, is your maximum bond capacity, your maximum single bond capacity is governed by your past experience. Okay? This is such a powerful concept. So even if the numbers say that you qualify for $500,000, but the largest job you've ever done is $200,000, you're going to have a tough time actually getting a $500,000 bond, because right now in the marketplace, the general rule is 1.5 to 2 times of the largest job you've ever completed. Okay? If you have any more questions, please keep sending them to the chat. Ms. Lorena, I will check in with you at the next break. Is there anyone else that I need to take care of before we keep going?
Tracy, there's 2 questions. One is really quick, and I can answer that. And they're asking if participants will get a copy of the slides or the presentation. Just a reminder, the webinar is being recorded, so we will be sharing this link with participants. So you will have access to the video and you can watch it anytime you need. The only thing we ask, if you're interested in the link, you can send me your email, your name and your email directly to me in the chat box. There is one more question, Tracy. Do you want to take it now, or do we want to wait for the next Q&A?
You go ahead, give it to me now.
Okay. So the question is, if we're a new firm with few resources, can we enter into a joint venture or mentor-protege agreement with a larger firm and use their bonding, insurance, et cetera?
And the short answer to that is yes. Okay? There's a much longer answer to that. Just because you're new, with limited resources doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be bonded. It may mean you can't be bonded at the level you'd like to be, but if the personal credit of the owners of the new entity is clean, okay? Clean credit. If your license check is clean, if your resumes say that you actually can do construction, you're good at it, right? From prior employment, right? It's very possible you can get a credit-based bond approval. Now, that's not going to help you with any working capital issues that you may have, but you can at least put your foot in the water to see how much you can get bonded for without your joint venture partner. And then, here's Tracy's hot tip for the day. Once you at least have some bonding, you get to say to your prospective joint venture partner, I am at least bonded to some number X. It should help you with your negotiations. Okay, Ms. Lorena, I think I need to keep going.